I'm absolutely convinced that the key to better finances is asking better questions. Statistics show that only 1 out of every 10 individuals who sets a New Year's resolution actually attains their goal. 1 out of 10, that's it. The statistics show that only 1 out of every 3 individuals who plan to get out of debt actually achieve that goal. That only 1 out of every 3 individuals who set as a goal to begin a budget, only 1 out of 3 actually ever make it. I'm convinced that the reason that these statistics exist is that we are fundamentally not asking the right questions. Let me give you an example. As a financial coach, it's not unusual I hear the question, Carlos, what are the best steps for me to get out of debt? Or Carlos, how can I start a plan for savings or for investing? Notice what those questions are. It's a what question or it's a how question. What individuals are asking is, what are the steps or what are the processes for me to accomplish this goal? What I would like to suggest is the best question is actually why. So the question should be, Carlos, why should I get out of debt? Or the question should be, why should I invest? Why should I save for the future? In my experience, when individuals start asking the why questions will actually reveal information that you will never get if you only ask a what question or a how question. There's a famous engineer from Toyota company. His name was Taiichi Ohno. And he was famous in the 1930s to the 1950s. And one of the things he said was, ask the why question 5 times. So if something went wrong in the production line, let's say the conveyor belt stopped, he would say, well, why did the conveyor belt stop? And someone on the line might say, well, the fuse blew. And maybe if you were Ford Motor Company, they would say, okay, just replace the fuse and keep going. He wasn't satisfied with that. He would say, why did the fuse blow? Well, the circuit was overloaded. Well, why was the circuit overloaded? The circuit was overloaded because of the way we've wired the system. Why did we wire it that way? Well, we wired it that way because maybe it was more cost effective. So he would ask the question 5 times till he would get to the real root problem and the root issue. Then once he fixed those things, production from that point on would soar. And based on that, Motor Company, built a reputation very quickly for making motor vehicles that were more reliable and more efficient than the US made cars. And not only that, it was in 2021 that Toyota Motor Company finally surpassed Ford as a top-selling car here in the United States. Example, an individual who says, Carlos, why do you think it's important to get out of debt? I'll say it's important to get out of debt because that becomes the first step in you fixing your personal finances. Then someone might say, well, why is that important? That's important because at the end of the day, you'll never be able to build a lasting legacy for your family and for your children if you're not in good financial condition. Someone might ask, well, why is that important? Well, that's important because ultimately our highest and greatest goal and usage should be to be generous, to impact all those around us, and to give back to society and to help those who are less fortunate than us. None of that, however, can be possible if we don't start first with getting our own personal finances in shape. The person who only asks me, Carlos, how do I get out of debt, will never be able to hear all that other information, which is really what I want to tell them. Now, if you come to me and you ask me what questions or how questions, I'm going to give you the information, but hopefully you'll have an ear to hear and you'll be in a position to really hear why it's important. And let me tell you why this is the case. What I found is that if you will really ask the why questions, the answers that you get when you ask why are the things that you're going to need to sustain you when things are difficult, when you want to quit, when it doesn't seem as important as it once did. Those are the answers to the questions that you really need. So for the individual, for example, who sets out a goal at the start of the year that they want to create their first budget, a month in, they may quit because they have the steps. They know what they need to do, but they don't follow through. If they knew, however, that a budget is an important piece of the roadmap that's going to bring them financial freedom, that's going to transform their future and the future of their family, that it'll be one of the first steps in creating lasting legacy for them and for their children, for the generations. Then all of a sudden they might be able to push through the difficult times when it's harder to budget, maybe when the sacrifice seems like it's not worth it, maybe when they're just tired and they just want to take a little break from this discipline of budgeting. So the why question becomes so critical. Understanding what to do has its value, but it also has limitations. Typically, knowing what to do will not motivate you to start, and it won't motivate you to continue when things get very difficult. Matter of fact, most of us already know what we need to do to have better finances. We already know we need to cut down on spending. Maybe we need to have a spending plan. We already have an idea what we need to do to experience better health. So the what and the how is really not usually the question. What we lack is the discipline and the motivation. That's why the why questions become so important. Because if we understand why, the answer to the why question gives you and I a North Star. It's something that we always keep in front of ourselves to know this is the goal. I need to save, or I need to have a budget, or I need to do this thing, or I need to have better finances because I have this goal down the line. And the goal usually is something big. It might be far off, but it's something that can keep you motivated. So to be able to say, I want to be able to leave a legacy for my children. I want to be able to build a better life for myself, a better standard of living, and a better standard of giving. I want to be able to do things for my community. I want to do things that are impactful. I want to do things that will outlast me. That is actually tremendously motivational. If you and I can get to that point, we're asking and answering the why question. Now we have the wisdom, we have the understanding, we have the motivation, we have the inspiration, which ultimately will lead to a transformed financial future. I think there's anything that we ever start with the intent of quitting. Otherwise, why start? Most people, as you may imagine, and maybe this is even your story, when you set a New Year's resolution, they only get through the second Friday of the new year. Second Friday of every new year is called Quit Friday, because it's on the second Friday of every single new year that the most people quit on their New Year's resolution. So I don't want to see that happen to you or me. I don't want us to have a quit day where we say, Carlos, it's too difficult to save. It's too difficult to get out of debt. It's too difficult to set this financial goal. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to go back to whatever it was I was doing before, even if it didn't work, even if I was frustrated, and I'm just going to go back to that. And even if I'm frustrated, I'll just go back to frustration. I want to see you and I continue to move forward towards every goal that we establish, including and especially financial goals. That's what I teach. I want us to move forward to success, to be able to say, yes, I've accomplished all these things, and I did it because I had a deeper understanding. I had why questions that were answered. Because of this, I had exactly what it took for me to push past every single obstacle, every single problem that presented itself. And ultimately, that was the measure of my success, because I asked very important why questions. I hope this was helpful to you. If so, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.